We like to think we are entirely in the driver's seat of our own lives. We believe our decisions, from the coffee we buy in the morning to the candidate we vote for in November, are the result of our own independent, logical thinking. But top-tier marketers and global influencers operate on a different set of rules. They don't try to force you into a decision. Instead, they bypass your logic by using carefully calculated psychological framing. This diagram illustrates cognitive vulnerability. While logic acts as a protective shield, there are specific access points where that protection is naturally thin. There are 4 specific psychological triggers designed to exploit those cracks. Once you see how they operate, the mechanics behind every sales pitch, argument, and casual conversation become visible. Understanding how these triggers function provides a layer of awareness, making it possible to distinguish between your own internal reasoning and outside influence. Your brain's primary defense mechanism is known as reactance. It is the immediate biological instinct to push back and reject any direct command or request. To get around that wall, a skilled negotiator won't ask you for a favor. They will lightly challenge your capabilities, or imply that a task is simply too difficult for you to handle. That mild sting to your pride creates an overwhelming urge to prove yourself. You end up volunteering to do the exact thing you would have rejected if they had simply asked you to do it. Moving past the ego, we hit the cognitive processing layer. This chart illustrates controlled freedom. Notice how the origin point splits into option A or option B, but both paths curve downward to the exact same destination. By framing a request as options, you feel in charge. You choose the path satisfying your autonomy. But look at the final result. Whether you pick the first or second option, you made a choice, but they engineered the exact outcome they wanted. Autonomy is lost the moment someone else is allowed to dictate the boundaries of your options. Deeper than the ego is our social wiring. While direct confrontation builds resistance, internal guilt generates a fast track to submission. This leads to the emotional mirror. Instead of making a demand or expressing anger, an influencer will simply acknowledge the situation in a way that highlights a perceived slight, planting a seed of guilt. That internal discomfort forces a cycle of self-correction. To relieve the pressure, the target will actively apologize, explain themselves, and change their behavior, without a single demand ever being made. The ultimate vulnerability lies in processing speed. This diagram shows the discrepancy between your reactions. The fast, jagged pulse of emotion vastly outpaces the slower, deliberate block of logical thought. Mass communicators and political campaigns rely on this speed gap. They construct narratives designed to trigger intense, unified feelings of fear, anger, or pride. The moment those extreme emotions activate, your brain allocates its resources to the feeling, effectively shutting down its logical processing center. This is an emotional hijack. You end up making life-altering decisions based entirely on a temporary physical sensation in your body, detached from objective reality. Whoever controls your temporary emotional state essentially holds the remote control to your cognitive functions. With these mechanics exposed, everyday life looks different. Sales pitches, political rhetoric, and even casual requests reveal themselves as calculated matrices of psychological framing. These 4 triggers are incredibly potent. Using them to actively control the people around you is highly unethical behavior. The real value of these mechanics isn't for manipulation, it is for defense, fortifying your mind so that external influence stops being an invisible force. You have to stay hyper-vigilant for sudden, uncharacteristic physical sensations, a spike of guilt, a flash of rage, an urge to prove them wrong. These are the warning signs. When you feel those sensations, recognize the pressure as it happens. Pause, take a step back, and reclaim your logical processing before your emotions make the final choice for you.